this time, can't turn back now. We know that there's no room for doubt. No, we can't turn back now. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Only just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna light it up tonight. We gonna light it up tonight. We gonna light it up just like the sunrise. We gonna light it up now.
Hello. Just getting some last moment things. Live shows are always fun because you've always got to make sure everything is straight. But welcome to the HVAC Guide live show where we talk about all things HVAC. We will be answering some of your questions live. Sometimes we're joined by other pros in the chat who might know answers to questions that I don't. And finally, we have breakout segments where we go over funny clips, industry news, and goofy inventions. Before we get the show started, let's take a moment to go over a couple housekeeping matters. I am streaming to both channels tonight. I'm kind of playing with it a little bit, if I'm being completely honest with you. We saw numbers go down when I moved everything to the new channel. And so we're experimenting with making that channel, which that channel was always going to be a home for content that is for pros, and content that's not always necessarily for homeowners, which is obviously the target audience for the original channel. And so we're streaming to both channels tonight, and I'm going to, for the next few weeks, to kind of see what are we going to do here? Am I even going to continue to do the show? Am I going to maybe move it to Saturday mornings, which I've always had a very good turnout on Saturday mornings when I streamed on the weekends? Or are we going to just completely cancel the show entirely? I did a poll on our channel a few weeks ago about should I keep it? A lot of folks said yes. I also did a poll where we asked, do you like it when I have guests versus not have guests? That's the other thing. I've had a lot of guests in a row over the last several months and saw numbers dwindle. And I don't know if maybe that's why. Maybe you guys say you like it when I have guests on the show, but maybe you really don't. You'd rather, be able to ask questions and be more about you guys, more about the chat than necessarily a guest. So I'm playing with this. I don't have it figured out. I'll be the first to admit that I don't have this thing figured out yet, but we're going to keep working on it until we do figure something out. Numbers are a little higher tonight than they were last week. But still, I'd like to get back to the numbers we had before, where we would have 30 or 40 people in the chat and it was rolling, it was bustling. And if we don't, we don't, it's okay that we have other things we're working on, and it's okay if we don't get there. So that said, if you are with us, feel free to drop who you are, say hello in the chat, and where you're located in the country. Philip says, thanks for everything. I'll be getting a Daikin Atmosphere R32. That's awesome. Good luck with that, sir. The Atmosphere is more than just an R32 system. It's a pretty snazzy system. Ryan, I think you have one, which I always appreciate. Ryan, he's always here and always lively with his questions. But the Atmosphere is like more than just an R32 system. I think it's got like, really good ratings, like really, high SEER, high output, high operation at low ambient temperatures. It's a pretty snazzy system, which Daikin is one of our sponsors. So I don't want to sound biased, although I probably am. Ryan says it's great. Actually, let me pull up the atmosphere if you guys, which we haven't even got to our sponsor tonight. Our sponsor, our featured sponsor tonight is not Daikin, but let's see. Share this tab. So this is the atmosphere. It's a single 1-to-1 system. Let's see. Is it gonna let me show the brochure to you guys? Maybe not. But it's a single 1-to-1 system. It's just one of the more snazzier units that they make. Daikin's never had like the top SEER of anything. They've always had like the most reliable, best operating system. And oh, by the way, some of them have really good ratings, right? They've never, there's one company in particular, I'm not going to say who, but they always seem to shoot to have the highest SEER system, and then their crap breaks down all the time. So who cares if your system has such a great rating if it's going to break down all the time? You with me? And maybe that's just me, but I always kind of crack up when I see companies pushing that. Let me see. Can you guys see? Oh, you guys can't see my screen. Hold on one second. Why is it not flopping over there? You guys should be able to see. Is it going to do it? It is not doing it. And I now have lost the chat. Live shows, man. Bear with me just a second, folks. Sorry about that, guys. I hopefully you can hear me. So when I first used to do the live show, I would restart my computer every live show, and then I've gotten out of the habit of that because it's worked okay. But it seems like every time I don't do that here recently, it's been a problem. So let me get back to pulling up the chat here. Bear with me. I saw your comment, Philip. I'll get to that in just a second because I think that's good feedback right there. Um, see. Bear with me. Actually, while I'm working on this, let's just go ahead and thank tonight's sponsor, which is always, you guys know how it is. These folks are what, they're who lets us keep the lights on at the end of the day. So thank you to tonight's sponsor. I'll be right back and hopefully I can get the chat back up here. I want to thank the sponsor of tonight's show, EasyFit Isolator Valves. I've seen a lot of products in my years of doing HVAC and plumbing, but I haven't seen many where I've said every HVAC and plumbing service vehicle should have one of those. The EasyFit Isolator Valve is one of those products. I personally think so many jobs in my past, having one of these would have made my and my customers' lives so much better. This valve can allow for easy installation without shutting off the main water shutoff, making so many applications possible. The homeowner or business owner stays operational while the HVAC mechanic or plumber looks like the hero. I'll put a link in the description of this video or the chat. Get yourself one today to have on hand for that emergency we all know will come. Okay, so again, thank you to EasyFit Isolator Valve. It looks like I did get the chat going here, and the numbers are getting a little better tonight, despite the problems that I've been having. So thank you to you guys that do join us. But I do want to go back to Philip's comment here because I think that's a good piece of feedback. And he said that sometimes the other thing, it's not just that Tuesday nights are tough. And I will admit, when I first started the show about 2 years ago now. Part of it was, I picked the night that made the most sense for my schedule. Back then I had my business and, Mondays and Fridays were always tough. And I just picked the night that seemed to make the most sense. So I probably did that selfishly originally. But then now fast forward to today, I think you raise a good topic. Not just folks are busy, but there are other things going on tonight. I know the vice presidential debate is tonight. And so if you're selecting this fat face over those folks, I obviously appreciate that. If you're anything like me, I'd probably rather to listen to some HVAC content over what those folks have to say anyway, but maybe that's just me. That said, I might do a poll on that as well. We'll see if Tuesday nights make sense for folks or if another time in the week makes sense. Part of the problem right now is I've advertised so much in all of our videos that Tuesday nights are the night, but I've done streams before on Saturday mornings and they always do well. They always have pretty good turnout. Folks popping in. Dead Aim, good to see you. Hope all is well. Wasn't Daikin releasing a new better fit in September for the hot, humid South? Building my house and in the framing stage currently. So they did come out with the enhanced fit. It was more it's got enhanced capabilities. That's probably what you're talking about. So if you talk to your Daikin dealer, just tell them it's the one that has the E in the model number because they stopped calling it enhanced at some point, which looks like Ryan pointed out. They tease a new one for next gen for South warm climate specifically. Yeah, I think that did come out. But the other thing that I don't know, I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about that. They have more products coming. I will tell you that. Let's see. I vote Josh for HVAC Environment Committee President. Thanks, pal. I don't know what that is, but I will share with you guys. If you stick around till later in the show, I will share a piece of news that I have of something that I'm going to that that some new videos are going to be coming out about. So if you stick around till later in the show, I will spill the beans. I don't think I can on that one yet. I went to Daikin a couple weeks ago and I learned about some new stuff coming. I don't know that it's like life-changing stuff, but I do know that there's some new stuff coming and I was surprised. I'll say that. So, but there's like this gray area because there's certain things that when they tell me things, they'll be like, don't tell nobody. And I'll be like, got it. I know not to talk about that. And then there's some things they tell me, and I'm like, they didn't tell me that not talk about that. But I don't obviously want to say something incorrect or whatever. So there's new stuff coming. I'll say that, and it's pretty cool stuff. You know, they've got some really cool stuff coming. So hopefully, I mean, you guys know me. Every time something new that comes out, I like to do a video on it anyway. So I'll keep you guys abreast on that. Um, I remember one Saturday it was jumping in the chat. Dude, there was one Saturday I had over 100 folks in our chat. I mean, it was rolling. I don't remember what the topic was, but I was like, Saturday mornings are where it's at. I think it's it's been told to me that it's not just that it's the weekend, but it's also the time zone thing. Because when I do mornings, if I do a Saturday morning, supposedly it hits other countries and people are popping in and out of the chat because of that. But yeah, I wish Daikin can capture the market to replace First Company pancake air handlers. It's annoying that I'm stuck with a 24-volt AC controlled inverter system. So they make pancake air handlers, Philip, but maybe that's not the style you're talking about. I know First Company makes some pretty unique stuff. Um, Send me the model number of what you're talking about with First Company, and I'll try to see if there is something comparable on Daikin's end. Daikin does have the FDMQs. At least I think that's what the model number still is. Everything keeps changing because of R32 coming out, but the FDMQ air handlers are what I call a pancake air handler. So I wonder if that's what you're talking about too. I've seen that many of their Daikin Amana Goodman R32 systems are online now. So we're still waiting on some stuff, but all the unitary single stage stuff seems to be hitting the market. I got my hands on one last week, and we should have a video coming out on that very soon. Um, but um, but the inverter stuff and the fit, we still have a little bit of time before that stuff comes out. I think it's been a transition, you know, phasing out 410, but also trying to continue to keep it supplied somewhat, and then coming out with this new stuff. I'm sure it is a bear for a large company, and I'm sure it's been a bear for all of the companies, not just Daikin. Sam says, "Did you see my emails?" Let me go look, man. I think you've asked me that question before. We get a lot of emails, and my assistant goes through them, and sometimes, let's see, Sam. I'm searching your name, Sam. I assume your name is in the email. Sam. Don't see it there. Let me check our other email. Sam. I had a Samuel email me on June 18th. What's your email address? I'll actually search your email address. First Company 25 HHAC paired with originally a carrier, but now with a Flex. Okay. So the Flex can be paired with other air handlers. I asked them once and they told me no, it could not be. I asked our rep back when I had my company, and he said no, you cannot pair it with coils that are not our brand, like you can a Bosch, for example. So I always wondered when he said that why, but I just kept it moving. Let's see, 25 HHAC, First Company. I'm not seeing that one. There's HXX. And it's not letting me show you guys my screen again. And there it goes away again. Every time I try to share a different screen. This stinking thing, man. I hope I don't have to do another computer restart, and it's looking like I might. I don't even know why I tried to share my screen, knowing that it continues to have problems. Let me try something else here. Try a different tactic here, guys. Bear with me here. but I don't see that model number popping up. I searched that exact model number and nothing popped up. At least nothing on Google did. Let's see. Now this HXX system, Daikin and Goodman do make a unit like that, an air handler like that. So if that's what you're talking about, I wish I could share my screen, but it's not letting me. Um, Bear with me here. Josh, if you had your company, what would you stop offering single stage or two stage equipment 2026 or later year? So great question because I know the answer to that one. We had stopped selling two stage systems at our company because the extra investment, a lot of guys like to argue that the extra investment for inverter systems that you never see enough savings for it to pay for the extra investment. And in my experience, at least here in Virginia, that's not true. I can't speak for other parts of the country because everybody has their own, you know, sets of challenges, and the home, how tight it is, plays a role in all of that, how well insulated it is. But anyway, at our company, we replaced to when we went from selling another brand where we were offering a good, better, best, the better being a two-stage system. When we became Daikin dealers, the fit became our better. So we had a single stage system, a better, and a best, and the fit was our budget friendly inverter system that was in that better category. So, anyway, let me this thing, man. I can't believe I'm gonna have to do another computer restart to be able to share my freaking screen. I get so aggravated with this stuff sometimes. I'm trying to see now if maybe I can log in onto a so with StreamYard, which is the software that I use. If you use an incognito window, um it will sometimes allow the system to operate better. But even that's taking a minute. Man, this is so frustrating. um, but this has always been my challenge with this, being able to share my screen like I want to. That's all, and that's why I'm only that's literally the reason I'm only streaming to YouTube tonight, because I knew I'd be bouncing around on screens, and I knew that that would be a challenge. So I'm trying to pull up that incognito window right now. Let's see. Ryan says I see people getting new single stage systems that are 14.3 CR2, and it's a lower rating that the system they replaced. Interesting. Money. It's a big investment these days. Everything is higher than it used to be. What was the best? So our best at Griffin Air was always the highest unit they sold. So we would always offer their the Daikin 20 SEER system. Ryan says people think that since they are getting a new system, it will be more efficient, but that's not always the case. Um, Especially when you start factoring other things other than SEER. That I 100% agree. Um, I don't think COP is talked enough about in our industry. COP is a plays a big role in how efficient that system is in in heating. Um, and it stands for coefficient of performance for that system. But the higher that number, the more efficient it is. So they'll compare it to running on heat strips, and whatever type of system it is, whether it's a heat pump or geothermal or air to water technology, which seems to have really high COP ratings. That it's a good representation for how efficient that system is at heating the home. So that's a really good point, Ryan. Let's see if the system's going to let me do this. And it's not. All right, guys, I'm going to do another restart real quick. I'm so sorry. I will not try to share other screens anymore. and I will be right back. Hey, Brian, good to see you, buddy. Thank you for being here. Yeah, I'll be right back, guys. I'm just going to do a quick restart again. Hopefully, we don't have any more issues tonight, and we'll go from there. See y'all in a sec. Okay. Sorry, guys. Let me see if I can make this thing work now. I did try one little thing that was different. Um, I when I signed in on my Google Chrome, I did not select my normal. Anyway, it's a long story, but it's always a bear getting this thing to work like I want it to. So let's see, live chat, pop out. Bear with me. We're gonna get it here, guys. We are gonna get it. Is it working? Yes, it's working. Thank you, Jesus. Yeah. Sorry about that, guys. Live live shows are always fun. Um, but anyway, yeah, back to the topic at hand. Let me show you. So let's see. Goodman makes a unit very similar to that HHX that you were talking about. I forget what they call it though. I'm trying to search. I think this is it, but I don't think that that's the verbiage I'm using is not the they just call it a ceiling mount air handler. Ceiling mount. Okay, here we go. So let me show you this. Was it going to let me share it? Yes, it is. Here we go. Now we're finally getting somewhere. So well, I'm not going to be able to talk if I remove my fat face here, huh? So let me just try to zoom in here so you guys. But this looks very similar to that first company unit that we were talking about a moment ago. Because when I look up first company HHA, and see now that's not bringing up anything. But let me see if this eight. Let me go back to your original comment here. Bear with me here. First company 25 HHA -C. 25 HHA dash C. So if that's what you're talking about, see, that says HXX. So if that's what you're talking about, that's very, I mean, look at that right there. That looks very similar to that ceiling mount air handler. And so Goodman does make one of those, Goodman slash Daikin, HXC. So that air handler right there. So we put a couple of those in a self-storage place one time. And I don't remember why. I think they were adamant that they wanted something single stage, and but our we had very small parameters, if you will. Let's see. Even Linus Tech Tips, the WAN show, have some hiccups sometimes. Yeah, I think I just learned something. I think if I click the guest tab when I sign in on my Chrome browser, maybe that's the trick here. I'm going to keep playing with it. We're going to get better and better for sure. And what's the best way to negotiate or get a contractor to remove the already added in financing if you are paying cash? I work in banking, so I know all that 0% stuff is not true. Um I'm totally with you on that. I I think first of all, probably unless you're dealing with the owner of the company, Ryan, they're not even going to know what the heck you're talking about, because so many companies today will build those dealer fees into their pricing, and most of the guys that are out actually fixing the air conditioners or selling you that next air conditioner probably aren't even aware of those dealer fees. Any of you that's watched any of my content, you know how I feel about those dealer fees, because companies are forced to pass those fees on to you in some way, shape, or form, whether it's building it into their pricing or how they get around that. Um, it's just one of the things I hate about the industry. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, just go watch any of my videos that probably say the word financing in the title. And there's a couple of them. One in particular, I get pretty fired up about this lady. But anyway, back to your original question. I think if you raise it, the concern, it's a good question, because some companies, again, they're not looking to negotiate. They've got to build that into their pricing somehow. And how that is fair, if you want to talk about something that's unfair in our industry, it's these financing companies that will tell the contractor, build it into your pricing, and then it can be an average across, right? So if you not to get too technical, but if you say, you do 10 jobs in a month and 3 of them finance, and so the financing fee ends up being 9% on those 3 installs, then just building it into each of those 10 installs a little bit, maybe it doesn't raise your price but so much, right? That's the argument that they will make. um so, again, to answer your question, I think raising that concern, blame it on your cousin in Virginia that does heating and air. Say, yeah, my cousin told me about these dealer fees that financing companies charge. I'm paying cash. I don't want to pay those fees. What's your lowest price? Maybe that's the way to go about that. Hey, Kim, good to see you. It's crazy that the financing companies charge you, the contractor, to bring them customers for loans. I 100% agree. That's my biggest problem with it. And a lot of guys will say, well, you just don't understand how this works. Yes, I do. I've been to, retail establishments where they will give you deals to accept their credit card or their loan, their line of credit, or whatever, trying to get you to sign up for their loans. Um, I'm pretty familiar with how all that works. And I think our industry, among a couple others, they take advantage. One company started doing it somewhere along the way, and all of them followed. So that's why, um, if you need to finance, find a third party, ask them for their best price, like Ryan is saying, and then go get your financing elsewhere. You can get it from a local bank. You can get it, through one of these companies that offer loans for home projects, right? We offer it on our website, newhvacguide.com. You can get financing there. I'm not saying it's life changing on the interest rates or anything like that. I do know they try to shop it around, but Um, I'm just not a fan of those dealer fees, and I never was a fan of it. Even when I was a contractor, I was very fortunate to live in an area where a lot of the folks pay cash or pay by check or cash or whatever. Because this is, a lot of folks have their, it's just not as big of a deal for some of these folks to pay, for a large, home project. But, some folks, it is a big deal. They're living paycheck to paycheck and you're expecting them to, come off of 10 grand, you know, it ain't going to happen. In real estate, they pay people that bring them customers. Exactly. Exactly. They pay people spiffs to get, so like if you go to a retail store tonight and you're buying some clothes and they say, "Hey, do you want to sign up for our credit card today and get, 10% off of today's order?" That store associate or now I can't speak for all stores, but I do know that at least some of them, the person saying that to you behind the counter, they get a spiff off of that. They get a little commission off of signing you up for that credit card. So don't tell me that it costs them money to have HVAC companies offer financing. Figure it out. If you can figure it out for Bass Pro Shops, you can figure it out for, Bob's Heating and Air and, little, small town America, it's, you're getting me started tonight, Ryan. Get me wound up, man. Let me go ahead and share with you guys, for those of you that did stick around, I got an exciting, so we leave tomorrow for a tour. I think it's a 2-day trip. We are going to be touring the Daikin. Now let me get this correct. Make sure I say this correct. It's called the Daikin Sustainability and Innovation Center, and it's located in DC. We're going to be going up there. We're going to be doing some videos. They've asked me to do a little speech, which is kind of crazy. This little fellow that grew up in a trailer park is going to do a little speech, which is kind of cool. But that place is it's a good representation, if you will, for not just Daikin in general, but just for HVAC as a whole. It's located near the White House in DC. It's a great place for, especially if there are decisions being made in the heating and air industry, for different folks to, they can meet there. They can talk about, explore new things, if you will. And they've got a array of cool things to show them, such as, I think there's a room that's sub-zero that you can go in while you're there too. So that's kind of neat. We're going to be going up there doing some videos. The same lady that went with me to tour the Daikin factory down in Texas last year. I was about to say a couple years ago. It ain't quite been 2 years, but it's been over a year now. And if you haven't seen that video, we toured the Daikin factory in Houston, Texas, which was it's the largest factory in North America for HVAC, and I think it's like the third or fourth largest factory, you know, under one roof in the entire nation. I think Boeing and maybe Tesla have them beat, but other than that, they're in the top five. So that place is enormous. But anyway, the DC office, I'm excited to go do that. I'm actually charging all my stuff. I got all my microphones and cameras ready to go. We'll be doing videos on that, maybe doing some interviews with folks while we're up there too. So kind of excited about that, if you can't tell. Um, I also started the show telling you guys we're going to the new channel that we were moving the live show. So right now we're streaming to both, and I'm showing the chat on the original channel. But the new channel is going to be for everything that's not for homeowners. So for pros, and we've got some new and cool stuff that's going to be coming out on that channel. Not just videos, but we're going to be experimenting with a membership platform for pros that want to get access to, certain bits of information. I've got a mastermind that I meet with, with guys that are trying to grow their companies, and we've been able to have guest speakers come into that. So that's kind of cool. So if you happen to catch this video, um, Brian says, "Can I go?" Yes, you can go, man. If you're being serious, shoot me an email right away. I'm the thing's not until Thursday. I'm leaving tomorrow, but the actual event isn't until Thursday. So if you're serious, um, then let me know. Ryan says, "Why do HVAC companies not advertise to consumers?" Most people don't know anything about HVAC companies, and they only learn through local dealers. Um, it's a great question, and it's a question that I have raised to some of the HVAC manufacturers themselves. And I think because of, not just because of me, but just because, it ain't because of little old me. But some of them are getting better about that, right? So you can follow some of them on social media now. Some of them are starting to do more national advertising. I like, for example, Daikin has this sustainability series that you can follow, and it's on HGTV. So more of the companies are trying to, I think, have a broader advertising. um if you are watching a football game, for example, chances are you might see different brands pop up. I know. I hate saying this, but it's true. uh I'm a NASCAR fan now. I was never a fan growing up, but I went to a race with my wife's family, and I've just kind of been following it. They have a little race pool where you pick a driver every week. But anyway, I know Ream advertises a lot with NASCAR, and they're on some of the cars and things like that. Again, I think back to your original question, I think they're working on that. I think they're trying to have a broader appeal and speak directly to consumers. I think that's tough. I think it's tough for some of these companies to talk to Harry homeowner and, you know, Mrs. Smith, who's about to buy a heating and air system, but she doesn't even understand what a air handler is. She keeps calling that thing in her attic a furnace, and she doesn't even have a furnace, right? And that just goes to show, nothing on her. It just goes to show she doesn't even understand what she has. So it's hard to, you know, bridge that gap sometimes. And so I'd like to think that maybe it's a good idea for them to advertise to with folks like me, folks that are trying to bridge that gap a little bit, right? Can I go? Brian, send me an email, pal. Dead Aim says, get all the information on upcoming products, then come spill the tea. uh Let's see. Ryan says, if you ask someone to name HVAC companies, they probably say net. Yeah, exactly. 100% agree with that. We actually used to get company or customers that would call my company and say, "Hey, my AC ain't working." Okay, do you know what brand you have? It's a Honeywell, because they see that's the brand that's on their thermostat on the wall. So totally agree with that. Speaking of Ream, are they also Mitsubishi? No. Ream is working closely with Train these days, and I know Ream was working with Fujitsu on some things. Um, but definitely not the same company, unless you're a conspiracy theorist and sometimes some heat and air guys after a couple drinks and behind the scenes, and we start all wondering if instead of it being seven manufacturers across the world with hundreds of brands, if maybe in reality it's only like one or two, and they're actually all intertwined in some way, because that's not out of the realm of possibility, right? That's funny. I grew up watching NASCAR, man. Nothing wrong with that. Good times with my dad and family. Yeah. I did that pool one year where you pick a driver each week. You throw in a little money at the beginning of the week, and you pick a driver every week. And I just made me a fan. I'm a big fan. I've got to pick a new driver though, because I think the one I've been following the most, which is Martin Truex, is probably going to retire. But yeah, it definitely made me a fan. I'm on my way. If you're 64, 20, 295, 95. I'm probably going up 360, I think it's called. Um, but I don't know. My GPS may take me 95. We'll see. We're gonna be staying near the White House as well. We've got a hotel there. So I'm gonna be pulling my big diesel truck up there. And the valets always are like, what do I do with this thing? So Mark Martin was my guy. My dad too. My dad was a big Mark Martin fan. We were we I grew up, my grandfather worked at a Ford dealership. Everybody in my family liked Fords, and I hate to say it, and some of you may not agree with me, but I've owned 3 or 4 Fords in my adult life, and I'll never own another one, and I'll just leave it at that. I just had one. We just sold, like, 3 months ago, and, good riddance to that truck. I would like to see more inverter-style heat pump water heaters that run quieter. My ream is a little louder than I would prefer since it sits in my crawl space. Got it. Yeah. Um, I can tell you this. I know that there are companies looking at technologies to heat and cool water in addition to heating and cooling your home. I don't know what I'm allowed to share on that front, but I do know that that is technology that they're looking at. They're looking at trying to do it in very efficient ways. Because aside from your heating and air system, which is probably the largest hog of utilities in your home, whether it's gas or electric, aside from that, I don't know what the ratios are, but I bet water heating is probably in there somewhere, right? It's probably a percentage of your utility use. So 360 hits 295. Yeah, down your way it does. Yep. Um, but I think up my way, if you hit 17 and then you go all the way up, and then I don't know. I'm not gonna sit here. So I go up 17 and go to Fredericksburg, and then I take whatever road then goes to what part of DC I'm trying to go to. So if I am going to the eastern part, then I'll stay with whatever that road is. I think it's 360, but then if I'm going to the western part of the city for whatever reason, then I'm going to probably from Fredericksburg hop on 95. So it just kind of depends. Um, but if you do want to go, if you were serious, please let me know. Because they did tell me I could bring. I had invitations that I could extend to people I knew, and I asked a couple of local contractors. But anyway, my Renai tankless water heater is quit. They have those systems in Europe, monoblock systems that heat and cool your home and heat your water. Daikin has them in the UK. I've seen. No comment, Ryan. Wink. No comment, buddy. Uh, um, yeah. I appreciate you guys. I should not get so upset when things are not going well with the YouTube channel, but I try to do things that are going to help. So it's this constant game, right? Because I want to create good content. I try to create content you can't get anywhere else. Like, who else is going in the Daikin factory? Who else is going to be touring their DC offices? Who else is interviewing some of the folks that we've been able to have on our show? Um, we've had some pretty unique folks, and a couple of our guests won't interview anywhere else. Like, they were just gracious enough to come on our show, and they won't interview with just anybody. And um so that's this constant game of trying to create content that is unique and valuable, but it's also a game of creating content that people will click and actually, be here and listen and you receive that valuable information, right? That's part of this. Um, I don't know that seeing this fat face on a Tuesday night is all that valuable, but you know, we're gonna keep chugging away and trying to make this show better and have cool guests and so on. Ask Dyken what you're allowed to share versus what's NDA. We talk about that sometimes. Some things are very not in a gray area, right? Where they'll say really I always know I'm safe in sharing it if they've released it, right? So for example, some of the fit products that we see out and are going to be coming out in the future, um, or Daikin products in general, I'll always know that when I'm safe to talk about it because they've done a public release, you know? Um, and then I know I'm good to go. We can do a video on it, talk about it, you know, and so on. Let's see. There was something else I wanted to show you guys because of all the chaos of my computer not working. I don't know that I ever got it to, but let me see if I can pull up my notes here. Bear with me. There was oh, I know what it was. I think I was supposed to share a news story with you guys. Um Now my computer's making me do all kinds of stuff. But yeah, the original title of tonight's show. Um, I found this really crazy news article that I wanted to share with you guys. See, now even this is a bear. For me to be able to sign into my Google account because I'm using this guest browser thing. Anyway, let me show you guys. This is a crazy, crazy story. Um, and I think some of the verbiage is different than some of the I'm just a guy from the South in the US, right? So we have our own way of talking about things, and some of these words I actually had to Google to understand what they were talking about. But the title is Burnaby Strata ordered to pay $13,000 to owners for HVAC repairs, and it's not showing. Is it gonna mess up again? I swear, man. We might be hanging on to this story until next week then, if it's gonna do that. Is it gonna It is doing it. Unbelievable. Unfreaking believable. Ugh. StreamYard sends you this thing at the end of trying to stream things, and it will ask you how things went, and I'm gonna tell them it didn't go good again. I might be switching softwares if this continues, but Daikin has every type of air handler. Daikin has the VRV Life that works with ducted and ductless indoor units at the same time. I see I've got stuff on that too, but I don't know what I'm allowed to talk about. I do know there's some changes coming to the Daikin VRV Lifeline. I can say that. I think I'm safe in saying that. Um VRV Life. Yeah, it's still on their website. The old one was. So, but anyway, yeah, I this whole computer thing, I don't know. I tried using a different browser instead of StreamYard to try to do this stuff, and that didn't work either. And I'm not restarting computer again, so we're just going to sit here without the stream there. You guys can see the chat. Anyway, unbelievable. I don't even know why I tried that. It worked a couple times. I was able to share my screen a couple times on a couple things, but it didn't work this last time. Which is a big kink in my show because as you guys know, I like to do goofy segments. I got some crazy clips I'll sometimes show you guys. So, I don't know what to do about that. I do not know. Huh. Anyway, you guys that are here, what do you guys think about some of the guests that we've had in the past? Did you have one that you really liked in particular? Did you have one that you didn't like? It's okay to say if you didn't particularly like a specific show. Um, I'd be curious what your feedback is on that because especially if you had someone you really liked and you want me to have them on again, that's always good to know, you know. Do you think that if people are getting inverter systems that they need to seriously consider upgrading their ductwork also? Great question. I did a video on this talking about constant airflow motors recently. And it's not so much the inverter system as far as the compressor goes. it's the variable speed, constant airflow motors that are the biggest challenge with undersized ductwork that we've seen, at least in my opinion. So old systems with PSC motors would, I don't want to say they would adjust, but they would, if there was pushback, if there was static, they would draw less amperage and they would just simply not move as much air. And, that has its challenges, but what I'll see a lot of systems today do is not only do they have those challenges, but because they're a constant CFM or constant airflow motor, they'll almost kind of power through. And so you'll actually have times when a newer inverter system is, it's louder than than a single stage system because the company is not doing proper manual D calculations and sizing that ductwork. Ryan says Taddy, and the couple times you spoke to the guy from the UK. Yeah, the guy from the UK was the guy we were supposed to have a couple weeks ago. But the time zone I guess it just bit him. He was supposed to be here. I think it would have been like 1:30 in the morning his time, maybe 2:30. And he messaged me at like 3 a.m. his time, not mine. Or no, was it? I don't know. I'm drawing a blank now on that part. I think it was his time. So that would have been still like 11 o'clock my time, maybe. But anyway, he was like, I'm so sorry. I hit the snooze button too many times. And I'm like, it's all good. I get it. You weren't, you definitely get a pass if my show is 2 a.m. for you, right? But maybe that's something we can end up doing for one of those Saturday morning live streams that we were talking about. Radon guy was good. The home performance or inspector from Michigan was great. Yeah, so Larry, I actually hung out with him a couple weeks ago. The guy from Michigan. And I agree. He's a cool guy, very smart guy. We might have both of those guys on again as well. The Radon guys ended up signing up for our mastermind that I have for business owners. So I get to see them every week. I've gotten to know one of the owners really well. And he's a sharp. It's actually Jake's really smart too, the guy that was on our show, but his business partner is one of the smartest guys I think I've ever, he's just a sharp guy. If he doesn't know something, he's going to figure it out kind of guy, variable will ramp up and attempt CFM numbers. Exactly. Yep. Honestly, the reps from companies don't really offer much since they can't speak candidly and openly. Just my feedback and thoughts. I agree with that. And they would probably agree with that. And that's really good feedback. I think that might play a role in who we can have in the future. I think that there's always going to be we're going to have guests where they say, hey, I can't talk about certain things that are coming. Unfortunately, I do that. Right. But, I think that there's a way to have those conversations and still, get some value out of that for you guys. Right. I avoid variable unless everything else gets switched. Yeah, I would avoid variable if you're not gonna, if the contractor is not going to do a proper manual D calculations and check static pressures and stuff. Ryan likes the guess. Okay, awesome. Kim says, what videos do you have to let me know what ducts I need to upgrade when I have a full house duct work completed? Ooh, that's a loaded question. So, as far as ductwork goes, I've got a few videos where I try to give you something that, part of it is I can't, especially on the old channel. Now on the new channel, we might start getting more technical, right? For the pros. But for when I do a video for a homeowner, I always have to meet folks where they're at, right? Because somebody might watch my video and have no idea what even a ductulator is. And then another person might watch that video and they've already got a great grasp on not just what ductulators and manual D calculations are, but also, just overall airflow and balancing of a home and home envelopes and all this stuff. And now they're, kind of watching that video. And so I always try to be mindful of that now. I don't think I was always as mindful, but when I would do a video, say like if I do a video on a furnace, I'm going to take a moment. I try to take a moment to, here's how you take the cover off of this furnace. Here's how if I'm just doing something like that, and I'm learning that too in these classes that I teach, because some guys sitting in my class are just starting out, and some guys in my class have been doing this, for a while, that this has been their career for an array of years. So it's a good question, but I think that the two videos that I did one that's called Three Things that all homeowners should know about ductwork. That's a good video, I think. And then I did another video. I forget what it's called, but basically, if you just search ductwork on my channel, you should be, it ain't that many videos, to be honest with you. I haven't done hundreds of videos on ductwork. I've probably done less than a dozen. So, and I'd like to think they're all, again, I always try to make it something that the homeowner can use. That one particular video on the three things, a homeowner can look at their own ductwork and say it doesn't or it does meet those three parameters, right? Let's see. HVAC guide ductwork. See if I can find that video. HVAC guide. Here it is. 3 ductwork issues you should know is what it's called. Share. I'll put it in the chat here. That video right there, I think that is pretty good when it comes to these are the 3 big rules that you, even as a homeowner without a ductulator, can say, yep, it meets those standards. Yep, it meets those rules. So those are good. Josh, I have a story about a spray foam and leaking coils. 25 of 85 in 4 years. Names will be left out. That's the big debate with ductwork, metal pipe or rectangular flex ductboard, etc. What's the best ductwork, Josh? I think even if guys in our industry use something else, I would hope that most of them would agree from a friction standpoint and airflow too, that ductwork that's installed properly that is round is going to usually be superior to other types of ductwork. But you can't get a big fat round trunk line everywhere, right? And sometimes you've got to every house is different. That's why there is no cookie cutter. In fact, I told a guy not long ago, we were talking about load calculations and he was showing me the duct layout for a house, and I said to him, I said, I feel like homeowners know that every house is different, but they would like it if somebody was to say to them, here's what the perfect layout would be. It'd be round, and it's, if you want this many CFMs, we're going to do a 16-inch round trunk, and we're going to bring this many branch lines off, and we're going to be cognizant of what part of the house gets this many vents, and just show that, this is a perfect laid out system. And then they can take that and look at their home and say, okay, I can't necessarily do that. I can't fit that. And I actually need 2 more vents and, all of that. But now I've got a good general idea of what a perfectly laid out duct system would be. And I don't know, maybe that's a good video for me to do in the future. But I think that it would be great for for homeowners to have that tool, if you will, to understand what we might all disagree on what the perfect car is, for example, right? The perfect car, well, the fastest car might not be able to drive through the mountains, right? Or off road, right? But at the same time, a vehicle that might be able to drive off road really well might not get the best gas mileage, right? And so there's variables to that play a role in what's the best of this and the best of that. Unfortunately, with heating and air, there's some of that too, right? Every house is different. Some houses are tighter than others. Some houses need ventilation by code. Some houses are very don't need ventilation because they breathe so well, and they might need some upgrades to the home itself, right? um so just being aware of that. Metal costs more and it lasts longer. Does it last longer? If we're talking about some states, let's go to Louisiana or southern Florida. Maybe it doesn't last longer, right? If it's going to rust out in a couple years, I don't know. Just again, there's just always ins and outs. I'm playing a little devil's advocate on that. Let's do this. We are going to be wrapping up here in just a moment. If you are watching this, do me a favor. We know there's some bad apples in our industry. We know there's some folks that make us all look bad. If you know, whether you're a homeowner or a pro, if you know a good heating and air company, a good plumber, or a good electrician, no matter where they're located in the country, drop their name and where they're located, what city they're in. Number one, you're going to be showing some love to some of the good companies out there. But number two, you might actually send them a little more than love. If somebody in your area happens to see your comment, they might actually get some business off of that. So share those companies in the chat. Now my computer is all of a sudden going to try to share that screen. Brian says Vassar's in Richmond, Virginia, I assume. So, shout out to, I assume I'm saying that right. Vassar's. So shout out to those guys. Ryan says in the North, don't they add humidifiers to metal ductwork without issues of rusting? There's exceptions to every rule, but yes, there are homes that if everything is sized right, and can't do me. Of course you can. Talk about yourself, sir. Thank you. Upgrading a 1978 home and making the basement completely finished. Good for you. That said, next week I think it's just still going to be little old me flying solo. We're going to stream to both channels again. But I will be doing a poll this week, so look out for that on what time makes the most sense for you. And maybe we will move the time of when we actually stream this if need be. Ryan says TNC Heating and Cooling in Charlotte metro area. So shout out to those guys. If you're in the Charlotte area, give those folks a call. So good show. Have a great night. Yeah, thank you guys. This was fun. Little old school, despite the problems that we had with the computer here. But I do appreciate you guys, appreciate your support, and I appreciate you, sharing some time with us. The Bob says just joined, but galvanized metal doesn't rust easy. Well, I don't disagree with that, but I have seen them rust pretty good. There are certain parts of the country that, especially certain situations, if that's ductwork and or system is getting below dew point regularly, that ductwork it is going to eventually rust, right? So we've got to be aware of that when we're looking at different options for that home. Maybe going ductless, maybe going with a different material, or why is that system getting below dew point? Maybe we need to, condition the space that the ductwork is in. There's just always variables to that, right? Every house is different, right? I know folks hate hearing that, but it's true. Every house really is different. So anyway, again, thank you guys. I will be back next Tuesday night. I will be doing that Daikin trip, so we'll be showing some cool videos on that coming up. And, as always, keep a lookout for our newest videos. I've got some cool ones coming up. And I think, well, I'm drawing a blank on the next one coming up, but I know we had I bought the cheapest thermostat I could find on Amazon. Was kind of a fun video. And then I did a video. What was the other one I did I really liked? Oh, the one where we were out and I got to show the 3 different systems. If you haven't seen that one, it's like comparing good, better, best type systems. And that one was kind of fun to do too. So, just again, trying to show you something you don't get anywhere else. So, that said, if you haven't hit that like button, please do that. That always helps. And then other than that, if you're not subscribed, please do that as well. Thank you guys. See you next Tuesday night. In the meantime, make it a great week. Y'all take care.